I'm lead writer Dave Haddock, and I'm here with another episode of Loremaker's Guide to the Galaxy. Hi there, I'm Archivist Sherry Heiberg, and I'm here with another edition of Loremaker's Guide to the Galaxy. For those who have never seen Loremaker's Guide before, members of the lore team take it in turns to guide you throughout all the systems in the Star Citizen universe. And this week, the system in question is called Cabal. So let's just go there real quick. Is it Cabal? Is it Cable? Is it Cabal? The question of pronunciation has not yet been settled because it is only inhabited by UEE surveyors. It is otherwise totally clean or totally empty of any inhabitants. We prefer the term empty around here. It doesn't imply anything bad. It just doesn't have any people in it, really. UEE surveyors aren't really people. No, they're really people. I'm just kidding. So, people have come to blows over the question of pronunciation, but most of the surveyors are settling on the pronunciation of Cabal. Now, let's get to it. This here is the star in the center of Cabal. It is an F-type, which means it's basically one step above our sun in the sequencing chart. It's a main sequence star, F. Ours is a G. The F-type stars don't have as long of a lifespan as our star. They're hotter, more luminous. They're definitely way more massive. And consequently, they have larger inhabitable zones, which you can see right here. The system already has 2 planets in it. It would be great if the system had more planets in it, other than just 3, because then we could have an Ellis situation where we've got 3 planets that are just like right in the middle of the inhabitable zone, and then a 4th one on the outskirts when they're considering terraforming that one. But alas, it is a small one, and it makes do with what it has by being very mysterious. It doesn't have any native life, as far as we can tell. As a rule of thumb, when you're trying to figure out whether a world might have life in it, you're going to look at the age of the star and look at how long the life cycle of the star is. We think that it takes about 2 billion years to naturally evolve life on any given planet, because that's about how long it took for our world to develop life. It's possible that there's other forms of life that develop quicker, but we just don't know it, because the galaxy and the universe at large are gigantic. All right, now that we've gone over this glorious star, let's move on to Cabal 1, which is a protoplanet. We haven't communicated that it's as sufficiently lumpy as I would like it to be. Cabal 1 right here, like most other protoplanets, is not a perfect sphere. It's sort of like a potato, or maybe like a piece of popcorn. Maybe not as dramatic as a piece of popcorn, but you get the idea. It's more massive than an asteroid. It's less massive than a dwarf planet. It's something in between. It's basically like the seed of a larger planet. Although some protoplanets don't ever become full-blown planets, like Ceres, which is in our asteroid belt and is forever doomed to be a teenage planet, always stuck, almost going through puberty, almost making it, but then in the end just kind of hanging around with the other asteroids and being a teen forever. Maybe hanging out in her parents' basement. Be nice to Ceres and other protoplanets. They need it. As far as we can tell from the initial surveying, this little protoplanet here is rich in minerals, so it could be a good source of income for any miners who are interested in the system once it is cleared for travel. So let's move on to Cabal 2. This one is of interest because even though it's a desert planet, kind of like Mars, it is very steadily just like right in the middle of the inhabitable zone. So if we wanted to terraform it, it would be very easy to do. It's got a magnetic field that could hold an atmosphere in place. It doesn't really have any volcanic activity that we've seen, but that'd be easy enough to kickstart with the terraforming technology that we've got in game. So there's a lot of interest from people, not just regular UE citizens or aliens who are just like, oh, well, what are they going to do with the system? Ship manufacturers like ISEA are very, very interested in the system. And there is a contingent of Tevarin who insist that the Cabal system should be given to them. And the reason for that can be discovered if we go over this way and end up at Cabal 3, the third rock from the sun, just like our rock. As you can see, Cabal is a naturally inhabitable world. It's got oceans, it's got plants, it's been around for more than 2 billion years. It doesn't show any evidence of having been terraformed, and it's totally uninhabited. However, that does not mean that it was never inhabited. As surveyors got closer to the system, they discovered that it is covered with abandoned Tevarin cities. Since there aren't any records that are still extant from the First and Second Tevarin Wars, as we did destroy their civilization and absorb the surviving Tevarin into the UEE, we don't have any idea what happened to the Tevarin who used to live here. There are no signs of a struggle on the planet, there's no blast craters, there's no like swaths of fire that could have been caused by anything other than natural fire cycles on the planet. It just seems to be, it's like they answered a phone call and left the door open and then just disappeared forever. The UEE surveyors have some theories as to what happened to them. One popular theory is that because the system shows evidence of having been abandoned during the First Tevarin War, it could be that all the able-bodied inhabitants of Cabal 3, I said Cabal, oh, I'm going to get punched by a surveyor, of Cabal 3, were called back to the planet, and so many Tevarin were poured into the war effort that they just never returned, and eventually the system became abandoned as the old inhabitants died out. It's been long enough that it's possible that people died like in chairs and their bodies rotted away, etc., etc., etc. You know, just for a nice little gruesome picture of what's going on in Cabal 3. I'll zoom away for a second. Anyway, let's get back to here. It is also possible that the jump point from Elysium to Cabal, which exists and it seems to be steady today, collapsed and then reformed. Since jump points do collapse, it is quite possible that this happened. There's just no evidence that it happened, and people are leaning towards the war theory. There are some Tevarin out there who may know what happened to Cabal, but no one is speaking up and no one knows how to find them because of the Tevarin diaspora. So why was it abandoned? What happened? Who knows? We are hoping to get answers as the UEE continues to survey the system. One more interesting thing about Cabal 3, since the ruins are very intact, there are all kinds of cool things in there, like religious artifacts, like amazing Tevarin architecture, and also perfectly preserved Tevarin ships and weapons. Now, ship manufacturer ISEA, makers of the Vandul glaive, have gotten their hands on plans for the Tevarin Prowler, which they will be releasing very soon. No one knows exactly how they got the plans, but I imagine there's a UEE surveyor out there who suddenly has a lot of funds in their account that maybe they should account for. And let's make note of this guy over here. This is the Cabal Cluster Alpha. It is a mineral-rich asteroid field. It kind of hangs out in its own orbit in the Lagrange point of Cabal 3. See? Right there. Hello! It's very steady. It's kind of like the Trojan asteroid fields in our solar system. Kind of hangs out in the Lagrangian point, steady gravity well. So it shows no evidence of having been mined thoroughly. If the Tevarin did mine it while they were here, they didn't take too much from it. So this could be a very good prospect for people who are interested in mining once the UEE lifts the travel ban on the system. Now let's zoom out here real quick. And let's find the Cabal Lear jump point. You see it right there. You may be familiar with Lear from our CitizenCon demo. It has the planet with the sandworm on it. It jumped out and scared the player character and probably ate a few nomads while it was going at it. It's also the home of a political group called the Outsiders, which you may have heard about in the previous episode of Loremaker's Guide to the Galaxy from my comrade, Adam Weiser. So that's it for slightly unsettling spooky Cabal, home of the plans for the Prowler, which will be released by ISEA very soon. Hopefully, we will be able to travel to this system soon and solve the mystery of why the Tevarin suddenly abandoned a planet that honestly looks like it's a pretty good candidate for habitation. Thank you so much, as always, for supporting us. I'd like to extend a special thanks to our subscribers who make all of our programs possible, and every citizen who has ever played any part of our game and who continues to support us in this endeavor. Thanks again for everything, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.